The Radio Shopping Show is sponsored by WRMN and the businesses where the certificates mentioned on this program may be redeemed. Welcome to the Radio Shopping Show, the most amazing show on the radio. The Radio Shopping Show is a fun and unique way to save 40, 50, 60% or even more on travel destinations, family or fine dining, entertainment, auto services, plus thousands of other items. To participate on the Radio Shopping Show, simply call area code 847-931-1410. 931-1410. Questions about various merchandise and how to shop with us are welcome as well. Or go to our website, www.wrmn1410.com. Now, let's save money with the Radio Shopping Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to WRMN. This is Leah sitting in the hot seat. Matt allowing me some time here in the studio. It's a beautiful day outside. I tell you what, we've been gifted some wonderful blue skies, and even if we do have a little rain coming in, that's not a problem. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out the eclipse or if that was a big thing for you. You didn't? Oh my goodness, I got to give you guys some voice here. First of all, we are speaking with the Elsinore players. I want to say welcome real quickly to Thomas, Jamie, and Lori. Welcome, folks.
Thanks for having us back, Leah.
I get to see them maybe, 4 times a year, 3 times a year?
About twice a year.
Yeah, and we were talking, maybe I think about talking, emailing, because we email back and forth a little bit, and there's some work that goes into planning, because especially when there's more people that are going to be coming to the studio, you're now talking a bunch of different schedules that you have to get together, right? And I know with the new play that's going to be coming to Side Street Studios, you guys have probably been pretty busy, because that's coming up, next, is it next weekend that it opens?
This weekend.
This weekend it opens up.
2 sleeps.
Yeah, 2 sleeps. That's my household right there. How many more sleeps, Nini? Yeah. So welcome to the studio. We're actually happy to have you here. And I'm a big fan of the art. So what I'm going to do real quickly, first and foremost, is have you tell what character you're going to be playing. First of all, let's just announce the production. So the actual official production is called what, Thomas?
Mary Stuart by Friedrich Schiller and a new version by Peter Oswald.
I never put 2 and 2 together. Wasn't there a movie named Mary Stuart, and it was done with, I can't think of what the girl's name was now.
It was Saoirse Ronan and Margot Robbie, unless we're talking about the Vanessa Redgrave one that was done based off of Schiller's work.
Right.
But the newer one was off of John Guy's autobiography that was actually mostly true.
And I tell you what, he is the walking encyclopedia. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like he just knows this, absorbs all the information that goes on there. It will make you money someday.
Hopefully he'll pass it on to our group.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But because you are the director, producer, I would say director will put in there, you almost have to have that kind of vibe-ish information behind it, because that's what helps to prepare how you want to present it to the audience, correct?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and Jamie, who are you playing?
I'm playing the Earl of Leicester, who was historically Elizabeth's quote-unquote favorite. Mm-hmm. There's implications that there may have been more there. Mm-hmm. But in this particular piece, there may possibly be some entanglements with Mary Stuart herself as well.
Got it. And Lori?
I play Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth. So, and first of all, I think I saw the pictures, and just even your stoicism in the shots that you did, I was going to fall off my chair if you didn't tell me Elizabeth at that time.
I could have really thrown her if I'd said Queen Elizabeth myself.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, first of all, we were talking about what makes you pick some of the productions, because you go all over the channel. We had just finished the last one, which was more of what was it, a meet cute or something after people had gone and had met one time, and then it comes back years later, and it was actually
Reunite cute.
There you go. Reunite cute. Ish. And anyway, so what makes you choose those? And Laura, you were mentioning, I think Jamie, you were talking about it, that it was more of during the pandemic, you got to chat a little bit more and kind of be a little bit more, I don't want to say introspective, but you got to kind of think forward. And what is that? What do we want to do? You couldn't get out and actually do the shows.
Right.
So if you weren't performing on Zoom, you could talk about what you wanted to do in the future.
Right. Well, I think what kind of happened, and I know we've said in the past in previous visits that, we started with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and then after that we were kind of like, well, now what do we do? Now we formed a company. But as we've been, right. But as we'd been reading things throughout all of 2021, the majority of 21, we were earmarking some of these things, keeping a spreadsheet,
Right.
This might work for a production, this might work for production. Thinking of it probably, at least personally, I was thinking of it as, this might be good to take to, a company here or a company there. It'd be nice something to do down the road. But then once we formed and we started thinking of things in terms of seasons, it's like, now we need to go back and we
Right.
actually have agency to pick these things and move forward with them.
And you usually have a smaller cast. Is it just the three of you in here? Because this is a big story to tell. Okay, so
Yeah.
how many are in the cast for Mary Stuart?
Total cast of 10.
Really? Is that one of the
Miranda.
larger ones you've had?
It is the largest.
Complete.
Yes.
The largest one, yeah. But, there's a lot of integral characters to this story, right? Yeah, this isn't one that you can go back, change costume, and pop back out as somebody else,
I don't know.
That would have been interesting to try that with just you and me, though. I'd like to see you with a mustache.
Well, Jamie already announced, that he was going to be the Queen of England, or Queen Elizabeth anyway, so it was going to throw me off. With the performances, what is something that you look for, like something you wanted to make sure you brought to the stage or that you were adamant about including in this production?
I almost think the timelessness aspect that we're bringing to it, because being the walking Tudor encyclopedia,
He wears the crown proud, trust me.
heavy is the head that wears it. But I was reading a book about Shakespeare and theater, and it basically explained that way back when they would have to pick time periods further off so as not to get in trouble with the censors. So when they were writing about, like, I think the analogy was Julius Caesar talking about tyranny. Well, it was written during Elizabeth's reign, so it was kind of a slightly veiled reference on, hey, don't be quite tyrannical, or XYZ, what happened to Julius Caesar, but he could always go, I was just writing about Julius Caesar. I don't know what you're talking about.
So the symbolism.
Yeah, it was
and
always the word escapes me, a commentary on the current times, even though it was so far back. So I think being that this is a history play, it is kind of that, what is it reflecting back to us in our current point in time.
And I think that's pretty interesting too, because the first thing I said to you is, we were talking about how it mimics actual day life, and when we started talking, and Jamie, you had a great phrase that if you compare, what did you say? It was the Crown and
like the marketing tagline is this play is sort of a cross between The Crown and Succession,
right?
Because it treats the monarchy sort of like a bureaucracy / boardroom where the men around both Elizabeth and Mary are jockeying for position, sometimes working along with them, sometimes working behind the scenes in direct contravention to them. Ultimately, they're all trying to get their piece of power. So nothing much has changed
Right.
since the 1500s.
I will tell you, it's honestly, I think The Crown, and I've not watched every episode, but the ones I have watched, The Crown did just that. Even with the Queen and her husband, who she was just letting him do whatever he wanted, and everybody's saying, "Wait a minute, he's not the right person. He's not the person you should marry." So when you're talking about the symbolism, I bet you there's any time and place they could have made that. Think of another idea. Do you know what I mean? Like anytime during history, when you said that, they could have said, "Oh, that reminds me of this," and you would have had that censor issue at that time. If somebody's not familiar, first of all, can we mention what exactly is Mary Stuart about for people who might not be familiar with the storyline here? Because I didn't know that it was only by letter to start with, so you learn every day.
So the short and sweet kind of description of the show is it shows the events in the lead up to Mary, former Queen of Scots, execution. So Schiller kind of approached this as a what if, light-ish kind of historical play, because the funny thing about me calling it a historical play is the only historical fact that is fully truthful is the fact that Elizabeth signed the warrant, Mary lost her head, and that's it. So literally in the last 5 minutes, you get the only nugget of truth. But in that, I think that he kind of played with what would lead up to this. What circumstances would lead someone to do this? What paranoia is there surrounding the almost dual religious fanaticism, because it does play heavily into the Mary is Catholic, Elizabeth is Protestant.
Right.
And it was, I want to say it was only from Elizabeth's father, her brother, and then her elder sister flipped England back to Catholic. So Elizabeth basically is the newly minted Protestant queen. So there is this kind of up in the air religious motif in there as well. And then there's, well, she is a queen, but I think you call her a female king. So there's all this,
Always has been
all this great stuff. But I think
Elizabeth
that
is
it
always a female
basically,
king.
the crux of it is, how did we get to Mary losing her head?
So, and you were saying you lose a lot of, or you use a lot of creative, your own creation behind it. You know, you kind of tell that story and have to lead the audience to that. How did you find doing that, Laurie, if you don't mind? Creative justice, I guess, is the word I was saying.
I would say the playwright took a lot of creative justice in writing it. You know, and it's interesting to me too how the women are portrayed, since it was written by a man, you know, in the 1800s, and I don't think he liked women very much. So
I don't think
I think that the women aren't portrayed in a very positive light. So it was interesting trying to find the humanity and make, you know, Queen Elizabeth not seem as horrible as she's written.
Right.
You know, I don't think she comes across very well.
But I think that's what I mean. That's what I think it's a dig deep card role to do.
Yeah.
You know, because you know you have to carry yourself in that, you know, and I was even talking about the snapshot of you that you have on your press information, you know, very stoic. But you have to realize there is some humanity there. I mean, this is family. And what about you, Jamie, when it comes to playing your part here?
Well, I mean, and interestingly, you know, the way to kind of dovetail off of what Thomas said about the very small amount of actual historical reference in here, like all the men are references to a specific person from history, but again, they take such vast liberties with who these characters are that you can almost throw history out the window. And you know, of course, I do some research on who exactly the Earl of Leicester was and what the general timeline of his life was and everything. But I concentrate more on the, you know, the relationships with the characters in the play. For my preparation, that's more, you know, what's the fundamental heartbeat of my relationship with Elizabeth, with Mary, with, you know, any of the other characters.
Well, even in the storytelling for both ends of it, whether it be the newer age version of what you're talking about, the speculation, you know, I mean, you can't make an assumption. You try and go by fact, but then you just combine all the stories. And I think that's what the second writing of it did, correct?
Yeah, well, and I also think that kind of almost, to use your word, dovetailing off of it, being the history nerd, I was like, I did have to section off the history of the play versus actual history, where it's like it is kind of two different chronological
The
motifs.
order of everything,
Yes. So it was kind of, it is that where to get too lost into the fact, I would go insane.
Well, and I think also you are, because this is about 2.5 hours. How long is the play?
2:45 including
2:45.
intermission.
And because there's all these little feelers that are kind of going off of this storyline, you had to be able to know when to, okay, we're going to go this far into this character and still be able to give the same story. Is that right? I mean, did you have to eliminate some of what you would have wanted to have in it? I know the play's always written and they're prepared, so you can do it. But I guarantee you guys go a little left to center sometimes.
I don't think so. Only because.
Right.
But I think that this is a very well structured play, and that every character actually does get their moment to shine. So it's really. It is such a well-balanced piece.
And with 10 people,
yeah,
that says a lot.
Yeah, and it's always, I don't think any character comes on stage and you don't know who they are, who they work for, what they want, and how they're going to get it. So it's like the main thing that makes a character on stage connect with an audience member. You can connect every single character to every point of that.
And you were talking about chronologically, because then it's also a matter of what part of the play when you introduce those characters. So that's where you probably have to follow the line, the lineage, not the lineage, that's the right one in this one because it's so much interfamily connected. But where they enter into the story is what I'm saying. All right, so when it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, do you end up doing a little break in there in between intermission, if you will?
Yes. So the acting runtime is like 2.5 hours, but then we do have a 15-minute intermission in there because
necessary.
It is.
Well, and plus, I think no matter what, anytime you've seen a performance that has an intermission, there's usually a little bit of a teaser. It's just like radio. It's just like advertising. You do that little teaser to keep them coming back. You give them just a little taste of what's going to be happening. Am I accurate there?
I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. We don't end Act 1 on an intense cliffhanger.
I was going to say, I can just tell, like, when you guys were reading the script, he said, that's where the intermission,
well,
there is when
so I won't take credit. It was Lori's idea.
Was it?
Where
Nice.
she was like, hey, what? And I was like, I think we were waiting to go somewhere, and I literally screamed at her in her driveway and was like, I'm sorry, but that, like... I was like, sorry for yelling and scaring your neighbors, but that was a great idea. And it does kind of give you that...
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Yes, it is that.
What's going on right now? Yeah. Now you've got 3 weekends that you're going to be performing, and you said all of them, the productions. Is this your? How many is this together for you as Elsinore players?
This is four.
Fourth of them. Yep. Yeah, I was right. Well, first of all, it's always fun having you guys in studio because I like to hear what you're doing and I like to hear the updates, and I also know what. Crazy talented people that you are, so I like the flavor you bring to the stage. It's not the normal what you would see, and I know when you first told me about bringing this company together, I think you and Lori had known each other for quite some time, right, or had worked together. Or was this your initial introduction was with the Elsinore players?
We met, we both met separately, individually, I think just about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then when pandemic started, I was reading things separately with Lori. Thomas and I were reading with a group of people.
Wait, didn't we speak prior to the pandemic, or did we just meet after that? It was after then, wasn't it? Gosh, it seems like it was just yesterday, right? Yeah. It seems like it was just yesterday. So then you kind of got, and the reason I asked that is because you have such a kinship with each other. I mean, you seem to be able to almost finish each other's sentences, or if I ask a question, both of you will know to look at the other person to say, you know what, this goes right up their alley. You just seem to be very in tune with each other, and I think that is from what we've gotten. We had somebody call in about your last one and call in and tell us they had gone to a show. They didn't have tickets from us, but they had gone to a show. And we're talking about, you could tell that everybody was very comfortable. And you know how sometimes characters, but you know how sometimes characters, they're not giving the emotion or the vibe that you'd expect. And they said that it was comfortable. And I don't think there's a better compliment you could get for actors on a stage when it comes to that,
I appreciate you telling us that. It's nice to hear it from out of the void,
Yeah. Well, like I said, and I think we all have a lot of choices of different performances that we can see in the community. And I like the fact that we've never been inundated with all of them are happening on this weekend or all of them are happening. So you almost have to compete against other players, So I know when it comes to performances, how is it that you guys determine, okay, well, this is what we're going to do the last week in April? Do you look at the calendar to find out if there's anything else going on, or when do you judge it? Or is it when Side Street Studios is open? How do you determine?
We need a certain amount of time between productions based on availability, of our lives,
right?
And then availability of the space as well. We don't really base it on what other theaters are doing, because when we announce a season, we don't necessarily know that. So,
right. Yeah. Nobody's going to offer up that information. Again, part of the tease, right, of what's going to happen during the season. Well, I'm glad that you guys are bringing it here to Elgin, Side Street Studios. It's going to be kicking off the 12th. That's this weekend. So we're going to be running it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend. Then we're going to go again the weekend of the 19th, and then the final weekend of the 26th. Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's right.
And when are show times?
8 p.m. for Friday and Saturday, 3 p.m. for Sundays.
So great matinee opportunity. You know, and I have to say right now, the other day I was coming home at 7:30 and I was from Wisconsin and I thought, oh, I hate traveling in the dark. We're getting that lighter days. Have you guys recognized that?
Yeah.
So normally I would say, oh, the 3 o'clock matinee for people who don't want to drive at night. But now it's even light when they're starting the show. So that's
Right.
kind of neat to see. How do people get tickets? If they want to come check out Mary Stewart, how did they get tickets to the show at Elsinore Players, with the Elsinore Players?
The link is, what is it?
The link is, I think,
yeah.
I think if we go to Side
Yeah,
Street
we started
Studios
using
and
a
then,
different provider now.
Yes.
So
yeah, I can't blame you. It's kind of like when somebody wants you to say your phone number. You know how many times I've told my doctor's office it was,
and I share it.
I say it was this call-in number. I'll say it's the radio line every time because I forget. All right, so if we go to, let's just bring it up here really quickly and we'll see what kind of website we have. So we can go to the Facebook page. So we know that you guys have a home on Facebook. And Elsinore, Elsinore, just thanks Shakespeare is how I put it together. It's for people to remember a little bit easier. And you can go check there, and then I'm sure they'll have a link right to that from the Facebook page. So if you want to, you can check there. And again, so you said you can find it on your website. The tickets, are you using an Eventbrite, or is it all through something like that, or are you going all through the website?
we're using On the Stage as the provider this time.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's similar to Eventbrite, eTix, things like that. Yeah.
All right, so you can do that. I've got it right on here. You can go, I've got the Elsinore Ensemble here is what comes up.
Yep. And we have the link is in every one of our Facebook posts, every one of our Instagram posts.
Got it.
So you'll never be many more clicks away from it. Than,
And I will say too, even if you're going to be using, and so I'm going to put this up on our page here with our YouTube. So Elsinore Players, the reason I bring that up is because when you go right there, it's easy to find. If you're clicking on your Facebook link, you'll see right there, it says on the stage.tickets.
Yep.
So you could just click on that, and then there's a little ticket button on top that you can click on that and then get your tickets for the show.
Yep.
Because how many people does it seat per production? Do you know?
we are probably going to be maxing out somewhere around 35.
Right.
If we have some overspill. We were hoping, we were estimating that we were going to have around 40 performance, but once we got in the space and started setting things up, the sight lines
Shrunk it
kinda
down a
changed
little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, there's a, like I said, with having that many performers, so you're going to have a third of the audience is going to be on the stage. If you look
Right.
at it value-wise.
Right.
But folks, go check it out. Again, it's going to be opening this weekend. Do you have tickets available for this weekend still?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes, we do.
so
Seating
definitely.
is limited at any of them. That's kind of the caveat. So if you have a date in mind, we recommend getting them.
Absolutely.
booked right
Well,
away.
that's why I wanted to bring it up, because when you're doing a place like Side Street Studio Arts, you're looking at a little bit more of an intimate production.
Absolutely.
So don't think that, I'll wait till the next minute, because with the limited number of seats, you're going to be missing your shot. So, and most of us go in twos or more. So if you're going to be doing that, get your tickets sooner than later. And again, you got 3 weekends to go check out Mary Stewart. I want to say thank you to Thomas. I want to say thank you to Jamie and Miss Laurie. I appreciate you guys. I wish you great success in your performances.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Leah. Always
All
a
right,
pleasure.
you bet. All right, we're going to take a real quick commercial break. You're listening to WRMN AM 1410. Remember, you can always listen to us using our streaming from the website at WRMN1410.com. You can also download the app using your iPhone or your Android. Download the app and listen to us from anywhere else in the world. We'll be back with more. If you happen to miss this, maybe you're driving and you missed this wonderful interview, you can go back and check it out on our YouTube page at WRMN Radio. We'll be back with more after these.
For an absolutely amazing meal and attentive smiling staff, try Red Ox Restaurant and Bar.